Guys, a long-time friend of mine, a former peer at the University of South Australia. It's Michael. Michael, how's it going, mate? Thanks for coming.
No, thank you. Thank you, Terry. Thank you for having me on.
No worries.
Very much
Appreciate
it.
your time, and thank you for joining the podcast. We've got plenty of topics to go through today. But first and foremost, I think it's probably wise to just inform the stoners. And if you're not aware, that's what I call the listeners, the stoners for the Turning Stones podcast. Just give us a bit of a rundown as to sort of how we know each other. Probably spoiled it at the start, but we can get it out of you.
No, that's okay. So we obviously went to UniSA together, studying Bachelor of Commerce. I was in uni for an extra year, so I did Commerce and Applied Finance. And we obviously just met through mutual friends, and obviously stayed friends throughout this whole time. Just ended up sort of not only going to uni together, but then also going out together, partying together, birthdays together, and still
we did.
still sort of catch up a few times a year. So that's
absolutely
that's kind of our relationship there.
We've been to each other's 21sts. We've been to pub crawls together. We've gone through blood, sweat, and tears, and of course, we've gone through those long study sessions with some really painful, dry, and boring accounting literature. And then we've obviously had the fun times where we've had about one too many vodka raspberries. So yeah, it's been some good memories, and it feels like a lifetime ago since we were at university. Honestly,
it really does. But they're awesome memories, and we'll always cherish them. So.
Yep, and just to fill the stoners in as well, Michael and I and a couple other boys that went to uni, we always catch up annually for a breakfast, and we always make it in between Christmas and New Year's. It's always got to be a day in between those two dates. I don't know for whatever reason, but maybe that's just when we're all free. And obviously now, as the years go on, people sort of go their own ways, and one of the boys lives interstate, so it's probably the only chance when he comes back to visit family that we actually have a chance to actually catch up as a whole, and that's always good fun, and always have a good brekkie and try and change up the locations. I think
we're always generally on work break too during that time as well, so that's that kind of helps. Yeah,
I think it's your turn this year to pick.
So you guys will have to come down to my way, because usually I always have to travel up to Virginia.
Yep.
You guys have to come down to the east
that's
side
fine.
This year. So
I'm happy to go on an adventure as long as you pick a really nice. And we usually go for breakfast / brunch, like usually in the AM. So hopefully you pick a nice breakfast brunch place. Probably my favorite meal of the day, to be honest with you. So yeah,
I will. All right. I'll.
And the coffee's got to be on point too, Michael.
I know. Terry's a huge coffee connoisseur, so I know that has to be up there.
Start your day the right way, and I'm sure you know all about that when it comes to nutrition. So we'll talk about that a little bit. So obviously we went to uni together, Michael. We both studied the Bachelor of Commerce, but you have to be a bit fancy and get a double degree and got that at Applied Finance. But I guess the long short of it is that we are both qualified accountants. We're also chartered accountants. How is accounting going for you, and what are your thoughts, I guess, nearly 10 years outside of uni, basically? It's nearly getting to that point.
Yeah, no, I still enjoy it, constantly learning. The industry is constantly evolving. It's no longer just your kind of tax returns, financial statements anymore. It's more so, it's more that kind of advisory and cloud-based things and adding value, and it's definitely changed since we left uni, and my role's definitely changed since my first couple of years being a accountant. But overall, man, I still love it. I still enjoy it every day, and very, very, very grateful to be in a field that to be truthful, wasn't really affected by COVID, to be honest. My life wasn't really affected too much, so very, very grateful for that.
Yep, absolutely. And I completely agree. We're sort of, the accountants have that stigma as being boring without a personality. But I mean, after you listen to an episode like this with two chartered accountants, hopefully we can change that opinion of yours. But yeah, the industry's evolved. It's not just tax returns and financials and reporting I guess, retrospectively of what happened in the past. It's all about, the advisory part of our industry is becoming massive because people now are wanting to do things. They're wanting to expand and, I guess, create wealth, should I say, and how do we get to that point? All right, yes, tax is a big thing, and if we can minimize it as much as possible, that is very beneficial, as long as we're not doing any dodgies and completely avoiding it. Still got to pay some tax. It's completely unavoidable here in Australia, but yeah, I mean it's a very fascinating industry. It's always evolving, as you said, and I love the challenges of it. Whereas every year it's always a different landscape. And it's really nice to actually help out, whether it's individuals or businesses, and help them grow and prosper. So it also gets a bit of satisfaction out of that as well.
I think it's also the fact that now it's very easy for someone to do an individual tax return. So the sort of value we need to add is, it's a lot more. Like, it's becoming easier for people to do things. So our role has changed, and we need to be a bit more outside the box, bit more advisory, bit more value add stuff.
Yeah. So, like, for example, like Joe Blow off the street can go on to MyGov and lodge his own tax return himself. If he's just a simple wage earner, a few deductions, even a rental property, he can do it himself. It's possible to do it himself. But what's the point of difference that an accountant can bring? Well, we're not going to let you know our little tricks of the trade. We're going to have to charge you for that. So, I mean, I'm sure you can hit up Michael or myself after this pod, and we're happy to help you out. But it's also going to come at a cost. So we're not running a charity here. And after we finish, Michael, I'm going to share your socials because, I mean, really, the crux of this episode isn't just about your accounting profession. And as much as you enjoy that, we all do have a life outside of work. We must I guess we don't live to work, we work to live. And it's the living part is what I've got you on here today, because look, put it this way, I work in an office of around 30, 35 staff. And I mean, I could have interviewed any one of those accountants, but I've interviewed you, not only your friend, former peer at uni, but we also stay in touch. But what fascinates me most is your hobby, and could even become a bit of a side hustle. I'm not too sure what you want to call it, Michael, and you could probably correct me if I'm wrong, but weightlifting, you love it. And ever since I met you sort of gradually started getting into it when we met. And then to this day, you're just fully madly involved. And kudos to you that you stuck by it and you've got some success out of it too. So what is weightlifting to you, Michael?
All right, so I'll start by saying it's not so much weightlifting. I think when we say weightlifting, we think of the Olympics, that kind of stuff. That's true. Yeah, it's not kind of that. It's more sort of the bodybuilding, fitness, lifestyle. So it's a bit more competitive, physique based, where it's not so much judged on a performance, more judged on a look.
Yep.
So what does it mean to me? It fills that void of having a sport outside of work. So I used to play soccer when I was younger. It didn't really go nowhere. So I started training, and then that just became my kind of became my sport outside of work. That's
beautiful.
That's what it is to me.
What kind of a soccer player were you?
As in position?
Yeah.
I was a right midfielder, actually. I played. Nice. I played 4 years at club. I played for the Campbelltown Red Devils, which is nice. Down near the east side, which you wouldn't really be familiar with.
No, that's prohibited territory for the Northerners. There, we don't venture that part of town.
So I played. I played 4 years there, and then I played for just school, and then I played indoor and futsal until that kind of eventually fizzled away. And then the gym became the sort of full-time sport outside of work. Yeah.
So I apologize for calling it weightlifting. So you're not going you didn't go to Tokyo, or you're not going to the Olympics or anything. It's bodybuilding. So more so the Arnold Classic and all those types of comps are more your domain. So I guess, do you like the fact that it's just all individual based as opposed to soccer? Because soccer is obviously a team sport. You have to rely upon others. It's sort of set in stone as to when the trainings are, when the games are. Whereas I guess bodybuilding, because it's just you and yourself, you can manage it whenever you want. And basically it's like you're a self-employed business. You can start and finish when you want, go to, I guess, the gym any time of day now that most gyms offer that 24/7 service. So, I mean, did you just like that part of it to really then pursue it? Or was it just the endorphins kicking in after a good session? Or what really drove you to say, nah, this is better than soccer. I'm giving up a team sport. I want to pursue this and I want this to be my escape.
I guess it was, I was always pretty small I was always kind of the late bloomer. I was always the one that was kind of small and skinny. I wanted to just put on a little bit of size.
Yeah.
That's how it all kind of started. And then eventually when you see those kind of initial results, it just gets a little bit more sort of motivating. And then you sort of start to follow some people in the industry. You start to want to try out a new plan and you diet this and this, and then it all just eventually builds up. But to also touch on that point, yes, I also like that it's flexible and you get to build your own routine. You get to build your own schedule, your own workout, your own diet, and you get to try out whatever supplements you want to try out, and you're not relying on anybody else. Exactly right. I get to train whenever I want to train.
Beautiful. And I respect that answer. And I think a lot of people sort of been in a similar boat and have got into bodybuilding for that same reason. You know, it's all been results based, whether they've started off really, skinny and scrawny, just wanting to put on a bit of size, bit of meat. And then they're thinking, geez, I've put in a few months of this and I'm already starting to see a bit of a bulge in the bicep. I mean, that's probably the first muscle everyone wants to look at. And then, just a few things like that. And then they start noticing, geez, I'm lifting a little bit heavier. And I guess it's rewarding. And I'm going to be transparent with you. I do go to the gym. I'm not as fanatical or as intense as what you do. It's just more so, to be honest with you, it's actually one of the main reasons I go is just to release some frustration after, some of those tough days at the office, because it's a really good stress relief, I believe. It's just like what a boxer does when he punches the boxing bag, maybe after, a shit day at the office. And we all have shitty days. And the gym provides that relief, as well as that good feeling as you walk out. You get a bit of a sweat. It's good for you in terms of your health, having a bit of exercise. And resistance training is actually seen probably better than cardio. So there's a lot of science to back that up. And and of course, just you're ever improving, and there's always someone bigger and better than you that you can either strive for, or even, there's that next dumbbell on the rack that you want to just you want to evolve and start lifting that one comfortably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and touching on that as well, which we'll probably get into in a second, but you've probably seen I train early in the morning. I'm a 4 a.m. kind of lifter.
Oh, wow.
So I'm an early trainer, and I actually find that training that early sets up my day just awesome. Like it sets
you'd be on a high after your session. You'd be on a high for the rest of the day. Those endorphins are kicked in.
And it's that
once work's finished, you don't have to go work out again. The day's done. Right.
Nothing can ruin the workout at that point. Like if your workout's done by 6 a.m, nothing can ruin it. If that makes sense. Like nothing can interfere. You could have a bad day at work. You can have a late night at the office, but the workout's always been done.
Yep.
And yeah, you're right. There's always room to move. There's always an extra rep or an extra set or just something extra that you can do every session to progress.
That's awesome. So I was actually just going to move on to the working out and the routines and all that sort of stuff. And I'm guessing since we first met, it was around, the early 2010s. How's your workout evolved since then? I'm sure you've learned a lot of things, but also I'm pretty sure, and I think we're all guilty of this that have been at the gym. See, I've never ever had a PT. I don't believe them. I think they do work, but for me personally, I'm a little bit hard-headed and stubborn, and I know I'm not an idiot, and I don't think many of us are, and hopefully none of the stoners listening are idiots, but I just know that I don't want to be a bodybuilder, and I know the simple standard lifts and movements. Of course, a PT could perfect what I can and can't do, and if I'm like really want to build, like say massive deltoids, I'll ask them maybe potentially for some advice, and I guess how often I should train it and how heavy and all that. But for me, I'm just a bit more, I don't know, like I just like to go my own pace, and I know like if I'm not going to be a bodybuilder, that might be okay. So I'm still lifting, I'm still going, I'm still building up a sweat, I'm not getting injured. So, and I have noticed over the years that you do get a bit more definition. It could have been more fast-tracked if I had some advice and some expertise, but I'm not all about that. I'm just in there get it done, and just as a bit more of a side hobby and a bit of exercise. Whereas yourself, Michael, I'm very intrigued. What was it like? How has it evolved, and what is it like now? So let's start from the beginning, and I'm sure you would have been sucked into a lot of muscle and fitness magazines and what they do, what not to do, but then you always, every new issue is a whole bloody new routine contradicting the last, isn't it?
Yeah. All right. So starting off, I think we all did we trained upper body more than we did lower body. It's pretty standard. You train the mirror sort of muscles more. You know, you start with your chest, your arms, and you put so much emphasis on that. The legs are a little an afterthought. As far as the muscle and fitness,
you skip leg day?
At the beginning, I did. No, not.
Well, at least being honest. Yeah, exactly. Probably the most important.
The to what you said about the muscle and fitness magazines and stuff. Yeah, we all did that. We all did the Ronnie Coleman back routine, the Arnie chest and back routine, until you realize that you're just not going to recover from those kind of workouts. They're not realistic. They're not really you can't really progress much out of them. They're kind of for the genetic elite. So, you sort of learn that, and then you start to taper it back, and you think, okay, well, that's way too hard. We need to dial this back a little bit. And then you just kind of learn. You watch different people, you learn different styles, and then you just trial them out. You trial them out for six or so weeks. Did that work? Did that feel good? Did that hurt? Were you recovering okay? All right, no, let's change it up a bit. And then further on from that, you start to tailor a program specific to you. So, if you're lagging in arms, you might train arms twice a week. If you're lagging in the leg department, you might train legs twice a week. And it's just that sort of constant involvement of, refining your physique. And then it gets to a point now where my routine's not based on anything except what I need, but basically, yep. So my routine, which I'm happy to go through when you ask me to give the listeners some ideas, but that my routine won't suit everybody. That's for
of course. Horses for courses, and it's all depending on what the end goal is, and whether it's competing for a specific show, or if it's just building up or strengthening a certain body part that's lagging or falling behind. It's all unique to everyone, and as you said as well at the start of that little bit there, is that you said that you watched a lot of people trial and watched a lot of styles. And I think that's very important, because I think everyone's style is a combination of a lot of other people's style to then sort of make it your own. And that's if you don't have any end game, you can just go through, I guess, similar routines week to week. Is it important to change things up? Can muscles get complacent?
I don't think there's any need to change anything unless you hit a real sticking point. Like there's always room to move. So I don't think it's necessary to change it up. But if it gets to a point where your program's no longer fun, and I do believe you have to change it then, because in the end, if you're not enjoying what you're doing, you're not enjoying the style of training, you won't stick with it. So there has to be an element of enjoyment to every program, as well as doing what's going to benefit you. So to answer your sort of question, no, you don't have to change it, but generally I will sort of every maybe 6 to 8 weeks or so.
That's
but
good.
If you're chopping and changing too much, though, you'll never know what actually is working or not. So it's fine balance as well.
Perfect. And so now, I guess let's address that elephant in the room. What is your current workout routine like right now? And I want details and each day of the week, if you don't mind. So give us like a 7-day rundown. If you know it off by heart. I'm sure you do.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So we'll go. So at the moment, the resistance-based side of it is five days a week, 5 out of the 7. So my routine is so I won't tell you the specific days of the week, but I will tell you the 5 sort of workout days.
Yep.
So we go for chest and triceps, quads and calves.
Yes.
Back and biceps.
Yep.
Then it's a rest. Okay. Then we go to shoulders and triceps, and then we go to hamstrings and back. All right. Now
hamstrings and back. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, I'll explain that in a moment. And then it's a rest. Repeat.
Yep.
So my program, if you picked up on it, is first of all targeted at bringing up arm size. You would have noticed I said biceps twice and triceps twice, and actually I didn't, because I hit biceps as well on that hamstring and back day.
Okay. Yep.
So first of all, arms are getting hit twice a week.
I did hit triceps twice.
Yep. Legs are also broken up into 2 sessions. You would have noticed hamstrings and quads. I find hitting them together, if you're doing it with enough intensity, is quite difficult. To hit a one big leg workout for 2+ hours is very taxing, and I find the exercises you do towards the end of the workout suffer a little bit. So splitting them up is a massive help. Also,
do you notice just splitting those 2 leg days up, or splitting the leg muscles into 2 different days, the DOMs the day after and the day after that isn't as bad? Are you okay to walk for the next couple of days after each of them?
They are sore, but they're sore in different areas. So so one doesn't affect the other training. So when my quads are sore, I can still train hammies because the quads aren't really doing anything. So
that's not a bad idea.
And the last thing of that, you would have noticed I said back twice as well. So back's another point. I'm trying to bring up my back width a lot more. So that was a critique from the judges as well. Back and arms were the sort of main critiques. So that's the resistance-based side of things. On the cardio side, do you want to go through that too?
Absolutely. Yep. Can't do one without the other.
So cardio, I might start from the beginning of the prep, and I'll sort of tell you how that transitions. So throughout the whole 20 weeks, I always hit 10.
And this is competition prep for.
This is competition prep.
Okay, this workout is competition prep. Yep, that's fine.
Yep. So I always hit 10,000 steps a day, every day. That's off season and on season. That's always okay. Now that's if you're running at, like, say 5,000 steps. So say right now we're recording this at 8:53 p.m. Yep.
And you've only had 5,000 steps. Would you just psychologically need to go to the gym and just walk off all those, because it's obviously dark? Would you have to walk off those 5,000?
Absolutely, but I would never be in that scenario, because I plan my days very, very well.
That's good. Yeah.
And also, though, in saying that, having a step goal makes things a bit easier, because you don't have to actually go to the gym. You can just walk outside. Correct. So that's generally why I like to recommend steps for sort of people, because it's very easy. You can walk out on your lunch break. You can walk 10 minutes before work, 10 minutes after work. It's really easy. It's an easy, low taxing way to get cardio in. For me, it's very low taxing on my legs. It doesn't hurt my knees or anything, so it doesn't impact my training at all, which is pivotal, I think. So
do you count walking as cardio though?
So no, that's not formal cardio. That's just a general step
bit of
count.
movement.
To be honest, I think that's what everybody should be doing, bodybuilder or not. I think everybody should be walking every day. I
agree.
I don't think there's any reason that people shouldn't be. So anyway, 10,000 steps a day each and every day. Have you seen in the gym there's a machine called the Stairmaster? So it looks like you're climbing upstairs. So at the start of my prep, I was doing 4 sessions of that for 20 minutes on level 10. Okay, which is that's a fairly taxing machine.
4 sessions a week.
4 sessions a week. By the end of the prep, I was doing 4 sessions at 40 minutes a week.
So still level 10, but you're doubling your time each session.
Yeah.
Shit.
But that sort of transitioned. It didn't go from 20 to 40 in 1 week. It went from 20 to 25 to 30 to 35 to 40. So that went up throughout the whole prep. So that's cardio. Now that we've finished my prep, the Stairmaster sessions get reduced and they go back the other way. So we're going from 40 to 35 to 30. Okay. We're slowly going to phase that out. Yep. And I'll explain why we phase it out after. But the base 10,000 steps a day, they're going to stay in year round.
So the Stairmaster, and of course, yes, it is cardio, but does it give you some sort of resistance training with your legs as well? Because I know climbing upstairs is somewhat taxing on the legs, and does get the heart rate up as well.
Different people have different opinions on this. It's a bit more of an intense form of cardio, and if you're a bit shorter on time, like you could do equivalent. You could do 16,000 steps a day instead of doing half an hour on the Stairmaster. But then you got to think of time. 16,500 steps might take you 2 hours to walk, whereas this might take you half an hour. You can get the work done a lot quicker. So it's from a time perspective, it just makes it a bit easier. And then also, like you said, if it's raining or something outside, just makes it a little easier to get done. Some might argue that if you're doing that, it'll fatigue your legs, a lot. That may impact your weight training. I sort of space my cardio sessions out to where that's not really an issue. So,
all right. And is too much cardio detrimental to building muscle?
It depends. It depends on the person's weight. If they've got a lot of weight to lose, no. I mean, there's been preps that I've done 90 minutes of like cardio a day. So it really depends on the scenario. But I do think if you're having to do that much cardio, you probably weren't in a good spot at the start.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's a good point. You haven't primed your body ready for that competition sort of.
Exactly right. Build. You want to be starting a prep at minimal cardio and very high food, very high calories. So you've got room to move as the prep goes on. Yeah. Whereas if you're starting at this kind of high cardio, low food, you've got nowhere to move through this whole 20 weeks. So it's the off season is just as important as the prep, setting it up.
Definitely. And we'll get into nutrition soon. Just in regards to your workouts as well, I'm always curious because you always see sometimes a lot of newbies at the gym all kitted out with the best equipment, the newest and flashiest drink bottles, gym bag. They wear all this apparel that they got from the gym because they're thinking, I'm now included. I'm one of the brothers or the sisters that are hanging out. But do you subscribe to any accessories, Michael? Like when you work out, are you using chalk, wrist wraps, blood flow restrictions, gloves, sweatbands? Like, are you using any of that stuff? Even special shoes, for example, for squatting. Like, tell me what you're using.
Alrighty, I'll look. Complete transparency here, Terry. Yes, I do. I'm a big fan of the new activewear. I love myself some new activewear. I do believe that if you think you look good, you generally do train a little bit harder. I will say that if you feel good about yourself, you will generally push that a little bit harder. As far as accessories go, yes, I use wrist straps and wrist wraps. So wrist wraps are more for back day when you're doing things like rows, deadlifts. All that's going to do is it's going to take a lot of the tension out of your biceps and your forearms, so that the tension stays more on your back. So your back's doing the lifting instead of your actual forearm. So I think they're obviously key. I don't think that if they're not key, if your primary movement's powerlifting, if that's your sort of goal, then obviously no, because powerlifters can't use those accessories. But
exactly.
I'm not trying to get to a specific strength. I'm trying to get to a certain look. So
you're building muscle.
It doesn't matter what accessories I use. Yeah, and a wrist wrap is just general wrist support. To be honest, for every kind of sort of pressing movement, it's just a bit of an extra support on the wrist. I don't use chalk. I don't have special shoes for squatting. I'm sure there would be some benefit in the whole shoes things. Although a lot of people actually, exactly what I was about to say. A lot of people do squat and deadlift barefoot. I've never personally tried it. Don't really see a need to. Once again, I think it's for those sort of powerlifting style. One of those sort of powerlifting style moves. I've never really found a need for it, but maybe I'll try it one day. So as far as
blood flow restriction,
don't really do that.
Never tried it?
Nah, never really tried it. Don't really know how to. Haven't really read too much into it. To me, it's
bit of a gimmick, I reckon.
It's a little bit too much. Like I don't know. We're trying to reinvent the wheel too much here, kind of thing. Yeah. So No, so wrist wraps, straps, towel. Oh, I do use knee wraps when I squat. Sorry,
Okay.
knee sleeves. Now, I'll probably say this. I don't actually think that they help you squat or help you lift or anything. For me, it's more of a psychological thing. Having something wrapped around my knee helps keep the knee joint warm.
Mm-hmm.
And whether that's doing anything for me physically, I don't know, but mentally it helps me kind of, it just helps. It's a feeling of well-being knowing that your knees are kind of strapped in and they're warm and they're just primed.
Yeah, that's it. No, it's good.
So it could all
So
just be a
obviously, yeah, I
placebo.
was gonna say you're not using the whole works, and you're not buying the whole shop, but you obviously want to still kit it up. And I do subscribe to that feeling. You know, if you look good, you feel good, you perform good.
Yeah.
I believe in that. I remember because I still play footy, and it was a few years ago, and one of the boys was paying me out because I was sort of fixing my hair up in the mirror before we were about to go out and play footy. And he goes, what are you doing that for? Like, pretty boy, we're about to just go out and get tackled and someone's going to mess up your hair anyway. I just said, no, I just like the look of it. And then one of the boys shut him up and said, nah, if he looks good, he feels good, and he's going to play good. So I'll take that line. So it was just an ex-mate of mine, Stephen. So shout out to him. But yeah, I mean, so that's part of the workout side of things. Now, we're obviously still in a pandemic, Michael. And we've gone through a few lockdowns here in Australia.
Yep.
How was your workouts, or how were your workouts during the lockdowns? I mean, I remember seeing some Instagram snaps of you and some stories of you making those mad rushes to Kmart and whatever it was to buy some fitness equipment for home and shit like that, because all the gyms were closed and we had to get in that workout and I guess get that pump in somehow, some way. So how were your workouts affected through the lockdown? And I mean, I've got to be honest, a lot of us are probably pretty cut up that gyms are closed. And how did you feel?
Yeah, so during the first one, obviously first and foremost, I was very, very, very cut because as I said to you at the beginning, the gym is my sport outside of work. So I basically had that kind of taken away. But as far as what I did, so during the first lockdown, was lucky enough to grab the very last weight set that Kmart had. 20 kilo dumbbell set, two sort of 10s. And I was also very fortunate enough that a local gym next to me, who my brother's friends with, they were actually renting out their equipment to people. So you could basically hire it for the duration of the actual lockdown, because obviously they weren't using it. They were happy to have a bit of extra cash. And so I was able to get a barbell, 2 20 kilo plates and 2 10 kilo plates. So
nice.
And then with that, with the dumbbells, with the resistance bands, I found a bench, got myself a bench from eBay, and then I was nowhere near as intense as a gym, but you could add in a couple extra sets, couple extra reps. You could do a few extra drop sets, a few extra rest, pause sets, and I was able to make the workouts intense.
That's cool.
In my own way, yeah.
And I mean, even if you lacked some sort of intensity, at least you had some sort of base maintenance level as well, that you were just getting, I mean, you're getting some blood flow to the muscles, and you could target some of those as well. I mean, you know, a lot of people subscribe to the fact that as long as you've got maybe either a barbell or some good quality dumbbells, you can sneak in a workout for majority of the main muscle groups. Which is true, of course, for what you're trying to do. It's probably not enough, but I mean, with the cards you're dealt, you did what you could. And I think a lot of people were probably in a similar boat to you. And I guess all those people that you competed against had to go through that sort of shit as well. But yeah, you scraped through. Good on you.
No, and the first lockdown, I was lucky enough that I wasn't competing. So like yes, it was tough, but not to the extent to the people that were competing. So then during that snap lockdown that we had in November last year, I actually bought myself not quite a big squat rack, but like 2 poles. So I had like an actual rack then. Then obviously that lockdown ended up being a big sort of fizzle. So I just had this squat rack under my stairs.
Do you still have it?
Yes. So then fast forward now to the actual July lockdown, I kept everything, and I I don't know if you saw on my Instagram, but I was able to set up my actual garage. So because obviously being in prep during this last lockdown, this is when it got a little bit more intense, and I had to get a little bit more creative because this was a time I couldn't slow down. I had to keep up that sort of intensity. I had to do something, and I had to do more than what I had to do in the first lockdown. But once again, I was lucky enough. I had the barbell, and I also skipped over something at the end of the first lockdown. There was an Anytime Fitness near me that had some old weight plates that were kind of dented and scratched and stuff that I was able to buy cheap. So I ended up buying all them. I think there was about 100 kilos worth, and I've just kept all them under my stairs. So I was quite equipped for this last lockdown that sort of passed. The only thing I didn't have was the Stairmaster, obviously.
Damn.
And then so I had to do 16,500 steps a day to compensate for that. But as far as the weights go, now I was able to maintain that sort of intensity for the couple of weeks. Just required getting a little bit creative. That's all.
That's pretty cool. And I mean, like a lot of people, a lot of those doomsday preppers, they even have TV shows. I mean, they're fearing for lockdowns and even a zombie apocalypse, and they're filling up their houses with canned food and supplies and waters and all that. And here you have Michael just filling up his house with old gym equipment that's still good to use. So, I mean, each to their own, I suppose. And I mean, let's just put it this way. Hopefully not, but if there is another lockdown, I guess you're pretty much prepped and primed and ready to go.
I'm ready to go. I definitely am. Yeah.
And I mean, you can work from home, and you can basically sneak in a workout any time of day, really, if you think about it. You got to make up the time.
I sort of did a few days.
Yeah, why not? I mean, you can't just sit at a desk all day, especially at home where you live. You just need to get a bit of an escape. And what better, I guess, stress relief than just to lift a bit of iron?
I will say what I did, though, during the lockdown. I don't know if you want to get into this later. I did keep my routine the exact same. So I still trained early before work. Right. I still kept the same routine. On my lunch break, I did my my cardio then. But I think it's, as you get a bit more advanced in the sport, I think the routine is key. And I did definitely keep that routine in. So I didn't start working out at night times or anything. I kept all that the exact same. So that way everything was like, food was the same, supplements were the same, sleep was the same, everything was all the same.
Perfect.
For when I came out of the lockdown.
Yeah, it's just so it was like an easy transition for you as well. And when's the last time you've actually worked out? I guess in the PM. Have you worked out at night? When's the last time that's happened?
I work out with my brother occasionally on Saturdays. So he trains Saturday, like he trains PM. So occasionally I'll go with him on a Saturday night. But that's rare. That's probably once every 2-3 months.
Yeah,
I'll sort of go with him. I just don't like it. It's so packed, man. The gym is so crowded at like night times, especially after work. Like I look back now and I don't know how I used to do it, but the morning is obviously very, very quiet. I've got access to everything I need. I can superset between machines. I can Do
you just love it walking in at, say, are you in the gym at 4 or you're up at 4?
I'm in the gym at 4.
Wow. So do you just love walking in at 4? And is there anyone in there?
Yeah. So there's probably about 15, 20 of us in there, and we're all sort of a bit of a tight knit sort of crew. Like we don't really talk a lot while we're there, but we all know each other because it's always the sort of same people there. But no, I just love getting in there and getting after it that early. There's something about getting up that early
before sunrise.
Knowing that also nobody else is up at that time, so just something I don't know, that sort of sits in the back of your mind.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, once the sun's rising, then you're starting the day really well. You've got what you had to do done, and of course those endorphins are pumping. I'm sure there's a mad post-workout feed waiting for you. I mean, depending on what circumstance you're in, but of course you need to replenish all the stores that have been lost. And what better transition than to actually start talking about the food? And I mean, something I love to talk about is food. I mean, I love eating. I love cooking.
Yep.
Did I mention that I love eating? So, I mean, it's food is life, in my opinion. It's just, I mean, it's, and I'm not talking about the whole, and I'm not talking about the whole, ice creams and chocolates and lollies. There's just so much good whole food out there that if you add a bit of love, add a bit of passion and patience to certain foods, you can just have, like, if you ask me, a nice medium rare cooked steak, with some green beans and maybe some sweet potatoes roasted in the oven, like, and a bit of drizzle of some olive oil. Like, there's nothing better than that. Like, and a bit of salt and pepper, of course. But like, just simple whole foods. I just still think that society, they are getting a bit better. People are getting a little bit more educated in regards to nutrition. Of course, exercising is all well and good, but you can't out-exercise a bad diet. Am I right? It's all in the nutrition, isn't it?
It's in both, but yes, and nutrition is a huge fact. But yeah, you need to have both. My firm belief is you need to have both. Yes.
Yeah. It's like with anything in life, Michael. It's you need a balance. You can't go all with one or the other. It just needs to be a balance. And so in regards to nutrition, I guess that's evolved since we first met. In regards to what to eat, and of course supplements, I'm guessing, have evolved as well. So not only have they gotten better with developments and stuff at the companies that make them and manufacture them, but also what the consumers have been sucked into actually buying, as opposed to what's really good for you, or even what do you really need? Because, I mean, there's probably a lot of people out there that probably take the whole protein powder and, they're only working out maybe 2 or 3 days a week, and they're probably getting enough protein in their diet as it is, and maybe the extra protein, is it necessary? Is it not? Well, let me just pose those questions to you. So just first and foremost, get into it with what your diet is, I guess, now.
Well, first of all, disclaim this, that I'm in no way qualified. I'm not a PT. I'm not a nutritionist. Everything I say now is my opinion. And so I don't want people to say I told you so. So that's all I want to get out there first.
Just quickly, I'm going to just shout out your socials. All right, you're not a nutritionist. You're not a dietitian. You haven't studied nutrition at a tertiary, I guess, institute or establishment, although you do have a tertiary degree. But if you follow him on Instagram at Mickey_C92, and you look at some of those photos, even the occasional story, I'm pretty sure he's got a whole collage of dinners there as well, and some day-to-days of food. You're not qualified in that respect, but the looks are the whole tell. I mean, if you look at yourself and the photos you've got on there, I'm pretty sure I might take some nutrition advice from you over a fat, obese nutritionist. And, some of those people exist. There's a lot of people, even some doctors out there. A lot of doctors will preach to the cows come home that, make sure you have a balanced diet, you eat a lot of vegetables and some good quality meats and fats and whatever you have you. But yet they're the ones probably smoking, and they're a little bit overweight, and they're probably onto the last hole on their belt, meaning that they've got a big gut. And yet they're giving you advice. I'd rather take advice from someone that practices what they preach, and that's you, Michael. So, I mean, you've gone through that disclaimer. We're fully aware, but hit us with it.
All right, appreciate that. What was the original question? My diet.
Yeah, current diet.
Yeah.
Current diet.
Okay. All right. So, how about we'll go through my diet where it's at now. So I'll say, first of all, so you said that it's kind of evolved a little bit since we first met, and yes, so I don't follow a structured I follow a structured meal plan, but it's not the same food every day. So I have a certain amount of calories, certain amount of protein, certain amount of carbs, certain amount of fats. Okay, they're all set. I eat whatever food I want as long as it fits in those numbers, right? It's kind of like a financial budget. If you got 2,000 calories, $2,000, I can eat a bowl of Cocoa Pops, but that might cost me $600. But I could eat a chicken salad, might only cost me $300. So it's about.
I like that. That's a nice analogy.
Okay.
You sound like an accountant.
Yeah. So that's kind of my methodology. That's what I follow. That's what's known as flexible dieting, and if it fits your macros, being your protein, your carb, and your fats. Whereas when I first started, it used to be meal plan. You can only eat chicken, broccoli, rice, and you eat that 5-6 times a day. That's how.
But let's be honest. How boring is that?
Yeah. Look, it is boring. Yeah. Yes. But it's a good place to start because it builds discipline. Okay.
Yes.
Anyway, so my sort of the reason I'm a bit hesitant to say my diet is because it does change a little bit. But I'll give you a sort of typical rundown. So at the moment,
how about today? Tell me
today?
what your current calorie expenditure is today.
Yep. I'll give your listeners as well a bit of perspective as well. So when we started my prep at the top of like the off season, when calories are at their highest, I eat 3,800 calories a day, roughly. My lowest point of prep was down to 1,600. So
wow.
Quite that's obviously over 20 weeks. As we reverse out of that now, currently at the moment, I'm on about
your
2,200
post-competition
calories.
diet currently.
Yeah, so about 2,200 now, broken down into 210 grams of protein, 220 grams of carbs, 60 grams of fat.
Okay? And that all equates to 2,200 calories.
Yeah, or 2,250 or something or other.
What happens if you don't meet one of the macros, or you try to aim to meet them all the time?
Look, as long as it's within, sort of 5 to 6 grams of each one, that's fine.
Yep.
Look, it's not going to be that detrimental to you. I'm just always going to try and be optimal. I'm going to always plan my day the best I can because I'm trying to give this my best shot. So
absolutely,
to me, why not just try and nail this the best I can. But if something happens, that's fine. You might eat a little bit higher carb one day. Maybe you drop the fats a little bit. As long as you're not going over with all of them, you want to just keep that kind of level amongst all three macros. Okay.
I like that flexible dieting approach though, Michael. Seriously.
Yeah, it does. It takes a little bit of work because it does require you have to learn how to weigh out food. You have to learn how to track food because majority of people don't know how many calories are in stuff, and majority of people don't know how much a serving size is. You mentioned before you like olive oil, right?
Yes.
I like olive oil as well. Like all of us, European backgrounds do. But if you took the time to weigh out your olive oil, you'll know that 5 or 10 mils, let's say 10, which isn't really that much olive oil. That's 10 grams of fat. Considering we've only got 60 to use up for the actual day, you've just used up a sixth of it on just oil. We're not even factoring in the food yet. So wow. It's just getting awareness around it, I think, and that it's a very good tool because you are able to mix up your food and have all this different food, and you can squeeze in the odd cereal and the odd bread and all this kind of stuff. But you do need to know what that even the healthiest of foods, sometimes those calories can add up. So
of course,
anyway,
you need to learn how to count, and luckily enough, you're an accountant. So yeah, I mean, and that's pretty scary actually knowing about the olive oil because I mean we make it our own here, fresh, extra virgin olive oil. It's delicious. Nothing beats the fresh stuff, and I drizzle a lot of my food in olive oil. Like I don't drench it, but I love to just put a bit on top, and it's just the flavor. And I don't know. Yeah, of course. Every gram of fat is 9 calories, isn't it? So I mean, it's probably. I mean, not that my weight's increasing or it's rapidly fluctuating, but I guess somehow subconsciously I'm making a bit of sacrifice during the day to splurge at night with a bit of olive oil on top. So.
And it's obviously working. So yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, back to your original question. All right. So now we've got all that out of the way. So a typical diet. How about actually we'll go through today's diet, today's exact diet.
Yes.
Right? So my typical day, I'll wake up, I'll train. I don't eat before I train. I train fasted. I do use amino acids intra workout. So that's then I'll finish my training at about 6. I'll eat breakfast. I'll eat breakfast at work, which is oats, protein powder, and berries. That's generally my meal.
How many oats are you using? Half cup?
Yep. Specifics. We're gonna go right.
Because I love porridge and I love oats, and I sometimes, depending on how hungry I am, I'll add some vanilla protein powder in there and some chia seeds just to give it a bit of flavor and crunch and stuff like that. But I use between half a cup or a third of a cup of oats in the morning. But if I'm hungry a little bit more, I rounded the scoop. But I'm interested to see how much you use.
Okay, first of all, you'll never ever see me measuring in spoons or cups, because I believe that if you say a cup, you can make a cup quite a big cup. Like you can really shovel a cup. Like you can make it a mounted cup. So you'll never see me measure in cups or spoons.
Okay.
I'm always grams. So I'll have 60 grams of oats, 1 scoop of protein, and 100 grams of frozen berries, with some like cinnamon and some stevia.
Are you cooking it with water or with milk?
Yeah, water. No, water.
Okay. So you're saving some calories there with the water.
I generally like it with water. The texture comes out a bit more cakey rather than a bit more gluggy. So I actually prefer it with the water in it. So I'll eat that at about 7. My next meal's at about 10. So I'll have 100 grams of cooked chicken, 200 grams of pumpkin, and 100 grams of just mixed green vegetables.
Yep.
That's a very, very low calorie meal there. The next meal
to be honest, at 7, I'm guessing you're pretty hungry after a 2-hour workout.
Yeah.
And that meal would be very satisfying. Are you hungry at 10 again, honestly? Or are you just eating for main? Oh, you are?
No, at this point, I'm very hungry. Coming out of the show, being off those very low calories, I am hungry at the moment. Yeah.
Good.
Then my next meal will be at lunchtime, which is those same 3 ingredients I just said in meal 2. So there'll be chicken, pumpkin, green vegetables, but also add in 300 grams of spuds too.
Yeah.
For your listeners out there, if anybody doesn't use Spud Light potatoes from Woolies, definitely try them out, because they're half the carbs of the regular potatoes, meaning you get to eat double the amount. Okay, so
Spud Light, by the way, actually grown by Zorella's, and
Correct,
Zorella Group is located in Virginia. They're not growing all of their potatoes here. They've got some farms in the northern regions of the state, but their headquarters are in Virginia. So that's just a bit of a fun fact for your listeners there. So Zorella, so support your local South Australian company, Spud Light. Unfortunately, I mean, the produce is genetically modified to, I guess, take out the carbs out of there. But I mean, these days, unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you want to look at it, so much of our foods are genetically modified. And it's just a sign of the times. And just like what Charles Darwin said, we have to evolve with evolution. So we just have to deal with the cards we've been dealt, Michael. So you have same as meal 2, which is meal 3, but just with the extra Spud Light
potatoes. 300 grams of added in there. And I know you said about the genetically modified, and I also agree. But from my point of view, when you're that low calories, coming out of every bit of extra food is going to help. So
of course,
it takes priority, that little bit of extra volume of food. So anyway, that's kind of my reasoning for those. Going on to meal 4, which is at about 4:30 in the afternoon, just something to kind of time me over until
meal 3 was at
dinner
1
time. Yeah, about 1. So but basically at like lunchtime.
Okay, so you're just I'm just thinking here for the stoners
it's
at
about
home.
3 hours.
I was going to say you're spacing out 3 hours. Have there been times, especially I would say meal 2, where you just can't wait till 10? Have you had to sneak it in a little bit before, or you got some strong willpower?
No, I try to be diligent, because I know what will happen. If I eat it at 9, then I'll be hungry from 9 until 1. So I try to space it out the best I can with just extra water. I'll have an extra coffee. I'll do something in between there to keep that.
So you're having some coffees?
I am. Yep. We'll get to that in a moment. I'll just finish off this sort of diet, and then we'll go into the the liquids and stuff. At about 4 in the afternoon, I'm generally just having a shake and a piece of fruit. Today was kiwi fruit, 150 grams, 1 scoop of protein, but separated, obviously, not like together.
With water?
Yep, water as
And
well.
do you eat the skin of kiwi fruits?
Yes, I do actually. That's
all right.
Recent. That's something.
Yeah,
recent,
that's a new thing coming out at the moment.
That's a brand new fad. Yeah. I never used to, but I thought I would like try it just simply for like convenience purposes, because I didn't used to like feeling with the skin, and it tastes fine.
I haven't tried it yet. I do want, but I have seen it in a lot of videos recently. I'm a pretty active user of YouTube, and I've just seen a lot of shit on there and Instagram reels and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it must be the new fad, and it's the new trend. What's it like? Takes some getting used to.
No, not really. Like you don't really taste it a lot. I mean, it's a little bit like furry, but it's the same as when you eat the peaches with the like furry skin.
Yeah, so, true. Good point.
I don't know. It's a little bit fuzzy, but that's fine. Yeah, just get used to it. So
get in.
That's all fine. And then which moves us on to meal 5. So for dinner, for dinners. So up until that point there, those meals are generally the same every single day. They're generally the same. Yeah, they're generally the ones that I'll prep Sunday, that they're already set up for the week. The ones that I eat at work, just out of
they're all meal prepped.
They're all prepped. Yep.
Yep.
Whereas dinner, which is meal 5, I'll usually cook fresh every night, and being that I do use flexible dieting, Gabriella and I can eat the same food together, because we can generally make like, I can plan out the calories so I can have dinner with her, so we can at least eat sort of together, like at least once a day. So tonight's dinner was 100 grams of salmon, 250 grams of sweet potato cooked in the air fryer.
Beautiful.
And I had asparagus tonight as my vegetable.
Nice.
So that was my dinner. And then before bed, don't know if you've seen this like trend going around as well. So now a lot of companies are doing, instead of protein powder, they're doing like a protein custard and a protein mousse.
I have heard about that.
Instead of drinking your protein shake, you mix it up in a bowl, and you can sort of eat it like an actual pudding paste kind of thing.
Yep.
So I've been having that, because that kind of helps. It's before bed. It's much nicer to eat something. It feels like you're eating a dessert rather than drinking a shake that's got that much liquid in it. Yes. Actually eating something is like quite nice before bed. So I did that with it did 20 grams of nut butter, peanut butter, and 50 grams of frozen berries.
Beautiful.
And that was my last meal, which I ate just before starting this. So I had around about 8:30, and I'll usually be in bed at about 9:30.
Gee, so we're pushing past your bedtime a little bit.
Oh, no, that's all good. That's fine.
I appreciate that.
But generally speaking, that's kind of how my day flows.
Yeah, nice.
I'm happy to rip into supplements if you want me to go over them quickly as well.
Because I mean, everyone knows how to eat. It's just, I guess, what to eat is an issue with a lot of people out there. And obviously you've got the flexible dieting, but you only can allow that flexibility because you do all the work before, and you do the counting, the weighing, and all that sort of stuff, and meeting those macros. But supplements, I mean, given that you're reducing your calories so much in competition, they would probably be just as important then as opposed to any other time. And of course, you might need supplements to help reach those certain goals of a certain amount of protein a day, etc. What are you using, and I guess, are they helping?
Yep. So we've got sort of 2 categories of subs. You've got your sort of performance based and your health supplements.
Yep.
So we'll go through both. So for my health supplements, we're going vitamin C, fish oil, vitamin B. They're generally my morning supplements. So fish oil I generally use because I honestly don't eat enough fish every every week. I like it, but the reality is I don't eat enough of it. So fish oil helps with nails, skin, eye care, all that
Joints.
kind of stuff. Joint support, perfect. Vitamin C, I just think that's key to keep year round, especially as we see everybody's always coughing, sneezing and stuff. It's always just good to
for
have
immunity.
some vitamin C. Vitamin D, I always find key because we work in an office. We don't see a lot of sun. We're not really exposed to a lot of sun. So I find that's always handy, and it's a good vitamin D is very good for males too, as it helps support your testosterone levels as well. Okay, so that's just always something extra that sort of helps. And the vitamin B is just a bit of general kind of energy, mood, and focus.
Yep.
So that's kind of the morning supplements. That's sort of the morning health supplements. Before bed supplements are zinc, magnesium. So they're sort of a bit more your sort of calming agents. You're sort of, to help with the stress, cortisol, and all that kind of stuff. Just
exactly.
Calm you down a little bit. So they're pretty much my health-based supplements. As far as performance-based, I do use a pre-workout every single morning. I won't deny that for your listeners. I love my stimulants. I love my caffeine.
Is it better than a coffee though? A pre-workout?
Yes, because it's got a lot of other ingredients in it that are going to help with your endurance, focus, pumps.
Okay.
There's a lot of other stuff in there. You can train on just an actual coffee, and that's generally if you're just starting out. A coffee is fine. Like people are like generally okay on that. I find to get the most out of my workouts at a bit more of an advanced level, you need a bit more in that pre-workout. So yes, I am using a pre-workout.
Does it make you itchy?
Only if it's got a product in it called beta-alanine.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember I've taken I've never ever heavily used pre-workouts, but I've taken one from time to time. I remember once years ago, one was making me really itchy. I'm thinking, and I felt so energetic and ready to go.
Completely normal.
Yeah, that's a bit crazy.
It is a bit crazy. That specific ingredient there, that's going to help you delay fatigue. So that's going to actually help you get more out of the workout. Okay. That specific ingredient there. So it's just one of the side effects, unfortunately. So and then intra workout, we're using amino acids. So I'm using amino acids. They're not really a necessary supplement. I wouldn't really recommend people buy them. The only reason I use them is because I'm not eating before I train. Amino acids are virtually like a protein source. So because I'm training faster, I don't have any food. I need something to protect the muscle, basically, something to help aid in that muscle recovery and muscle loss prevention kind of thing. Yeah. So that's why I'm using that. Generally, amino acids taste really, really nice too. So it's a good way. It's an easy way to get extra fluids and extra water in. If the water tastes nice, if you got a really, really nice flavored amino acid, you're going to obviously drink more.
Yeah, you are. You're going to hydrate.
And training that early, you haven't drank for 8 hours. You want to be getting as many fluids as you can. So that's that. And then probably the very last one is just your basic protein powder. A couple of things on the protein powder. I think it's not, well, for starters, it's not necessary. No, you can have chicken, you can have your egg whites, you can have steak, turkey. Like, you don't need it. It comes down to a convenience thing. So you would have heard me say back in meal 4 that I have a shake at my desk. If I'm ever in sort of meetings and I don't have a chance to sort of eat, it's a convenient source of protein.
Because you can down it basically in about 3 or 4 seconds. You can really scull, 30 grams of protein quickly.
Yeah, exactly. And if you have a nice tasting one, you can mix it up with ice. And it becomes like a bit of a shake, texture, consistency. And also, the last point on point on that. You said at the beginning, you think people eat enough protein every day. I don't actually agree with that. I think people don't eat enough protein every day. I think people think they are, but when you break down what people are eating and you have a bit of a think, I generally see people are not eating enough protein every day, and it just comes down to not knowing how much, because you're not weighing, you're not tracking.
True, that's a good point.
This kind of stuff. I generally find that your everyday person doesn't have enough, especially females. So having a protein shake between a couple of meals can just help you ramp up that sort of protein intake. So I think it's key. But
I guess I was a little bit oblivious in the fact that I'm a pretty big meat eater. So I love protein. It always fills me up, and it's just very satisfying. So I guess I mean, a bit oblivious to the fact that I probably get enough, and I still use a bit of whey here and there, a bit of whey protein, but I mean, I reckon I get at least close to thereabouts what I think a lot of people should be getting, but I do agree. And I do see a lot of people that I work with, even what they're having in the lunchroom, very heavily carb-based meals with minimal proteins, lots of fatty sauces. And, it's always a bit of a death wish when you're combining fats and carbs and there's hardly any proteins there on the plate. I'm thinking, this is a slippery slope here. But once again, disclaimer that you said, we're not nutritionists here. I mean, if they live to 100, then kudos to them and good on them. But in regards to protein specifically, Michael, are we going with whey protein isolate or concentrate? Any casein? I know that's usually for the PM before bed because it's a slow release, but the WPI or the WPC, I mean, that's a big debate. One's a little bit cheaper than the other. Am I over scrutinizing this? I'm sure you've read a lot of journal articles and a lot of magazines in regards to what's better and all that sort of stuff, but what's your thoughts?
It's one of these things that people worry about this before they're worrying about the overall protein intake. Before they're worrying about the bigger picture. This is one of those things that's kind of like the icing on the cake kind of thing. You're worrying about small things before you've fixed the big things kind of thing. Look, as far as WPI, WPC, if you've got a lactose intolerance, you want to go WPI because they obviously take the lactose out of it. If you're trying to save 20-30 calories, you want to go WPI because there's probably 110 calories instead of 140 in the WPC. If you're someone that can digest dairy fine and you've got no sort of stomach issues and gas and bloating and all that, then WPC is fine. I see no issue at all. WPI will generally digest faster, so you won't feel full. It'll generally have a bit more of like a watery texture as well. I personally like a blend. I like proteins that have both in it, and I just find I sort of find that's a really good balance of having a good digesting protein source, but also the WPC in it makes it a bit more creamier as well. So I don't really like it sort of one or specific. I like the blend options, which is sort of.
Are you sponsored by any protein companies?
No.
Okay, so we're not going to mention any brands because I was just going to say.
I can.
No, that's okay. We're not going to give people credit that they're not sponsoring you or this podcast, mind you. So no, we're going to stay away from the brands. But I've got another question, just quickly.
Yeah.
Sorry,
no, go for it. No, go for
WPI, but then there's also one that's hydrolyzed WPI.
Yeah.
Now, is that even that's like first class?
Yes.
WPI, isn't it?
Yes. It's even gone through like another filtration process where it's gone basically it's even faster acting than your sort of WPI as well. I don't generally use it. I don't really think it's worth the sort of hype. I think the WPI is fine.
Why do we need protein to digest so quickly? Why don't we just let the body do its thing? It knows what to do.
If you don't want it to sit in your stomach for long periods of time, though, like some people might not like that sort of feeling. If you've just finished a workout and you're not planning to eat for a while after and you're having a shake, you probably want that to sort of digest quickly after your training. You don't really want a shake to be sitting in your gut for sort of too long. You want that to kind of digest faster. From a bit more of an advanced point of view as well, I guess the quicker the protein absorbs, the quicker your recovery will start as well. So the quicker it's in, the quicker it's digested, the less time you're going to be sore. You're going to recover faster. So
that's true.
Just those kind of minute things, but overall, there's no big deal. I don't think.
Yep. And in regards to the flavors, what kind of protein flavors are you looking at?
What
are your favorites?
My favorite. I like to mix it up. I like to go a little bit crazy, but not too crazy. So
okay.
I do like your sort of standard chocolate, vanilla, caramel, cookies and cream. They're your sort of basics. But if I'm mixing protein with my oats, I don't mind getting a bit more creative, like your sort of honeycombs and your birthday cakes and your
birthday cake.
There is a birthday cake flavor. Yes, there is a birthday cake. It's just a very sweet sort of vanilla. Yeah. So it sort of depends if I'm having it as a shake or if I'm having it in oats or in cereal or anything. But generally, you'll find me just stick with this sort of basic vanilla, choc, caramel, or cookies and cream.
I'm just gonna let you know that I've only ever had in my oats. So I've tried other flavors before, but as shakes. But I only ever had in my oats vanilla cookies and cream, because cookies and cream sort of has that sort of similarity to vanilla. I'm not very adventurous when it comes to my porridge in the morning because I'm just so happy with what I'm having at the moment. Why change something and why fix something that's not broken, Michael? But what other concoctions have you done to your oats in the morning?
I guess it's for me as well, Terry. I'll probably say it's more just a curiosity thing. Like, if anything, you see a birthday cake on the sort of tub, and it's like, man, that looks pretty awesome. I'd like to try that. So, what do I do with my oats? I've added in when my calories obviously allow. I love to add in peanut butter. I love to add in dark chocolate. I love to add in like almonds, cashews, various kinds of nuts and that in there. But that's pretty much the extent of my sort of adventurous with.
Are you crunchy or smooth peanut butter?
Depends.
And the organic one that's really oily and runny?
Okay, first question is, it depends on what I'm eating it with. Generally, if it's on food, because I'll eat peanut butter on my food, like I'll eat it on my like chicken and stuff. I like it smooth.
Yep.
Because it sort of mixes a little better. With something like oats, I do prefer crunchy because I like the crunch. Yep. And yes, I do buy the one. I don't buy a specific brand, but on the label it has to say 100% peanuts on it. Yeah. I generally find they taste nicer as well. So
do you like the one where you open it, there's a bit of layer of oil on top and you have to mix it?
Yeah. So I'll generally store it upside down, and then all the oil will sort of float throughout it.
Is that a trick?
That's just the hot.
Tip. I've been doing it wrong this whole time. I've been opening them and then getting like a spoon and mixing the shit out of it, and it takes you like 30, 40 seconds. Your wrist has got a bit of a pump on. You're like, the workout's already done here. There you go. Wrist day's done.
Yeah.
It's because it gets really hard at the bottom, thinking, geez, I could have just saved. You know what? Why don't Woolies and Coles just store their peanut butters, or they just turn them every day? Should just turn them every day.
Marketing idea right there.
Yeah. But very nice. I love peanut butter, and sometimes you can even have a tablespoon of it. And
it's just amazing, mate.
It's addictive. It's very calorie dense, isn't it?
It's definitely my preferred fat source. Like when you've got that olive oil, like I'll generally use nut butters, olive oil, avocado, and whole eggs as my sort of fat sources, and that's up there as my favorite. Occasionally, but not high on my depending on the meal. Like if it's a toasted sandwich, yes, but if it's like a chicken stir fry, then no. So it depends.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm actually starting to get hungry now, and it's
Yeah, me too.
9:46 at night.
Already brushed
That's
the
it.
teeth. So I'm all done.
Yeah, I'm the same. I don't eat after I brush. Just a quick one as well. Thoughts on like a lot of diet fads out there. Now I know you're just a part of that flexible dieting, but requires a lot of conscious effort in calorie counting. But what about veganism and carnivore diets? Very popular now. A lot of people subscribing it, saying, "Oh, how can you not do this or how can you not do that because it's working for you?" But I guess what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another. But do you think there is some credibility to these types of diets? Because to be honest with you, I don't think any of them are sustainable really in a Western world. I don't know. Like, that's just me.
As far as I don't like any diet where you have to cut out stuff first and like foremost. I think we should be eating all foods. Like I think we should be eating fish. I think we should be eating dairy. I think we should be eating vegetables. I think we should be eating everything. To cut out like the carnivore diet, I don't know, it just doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Like we've been eating vegetables and plant-based, like vegetables and fiber and things for years, like hundreds of years now. We're sort of cutting it out. I don't quite understand why. I don't quite understand how you get your fiber in your diet either. So I don't quite get the carnivore diet. I haven't looked too much into it. Veganism, if people like it and people are doing it for moral reasons, religious reasons, by all means, that's fine. There's some very good vegan athletes out there, very good vegan bodybuilders. I personally don't like it because I generally don't like the food. I don't like tofu. I don't like tempeh. I don't like it, and
it's yucky stuff in my opinion. Like, no offense to those people that eat it, but I just I can't stand it.
And I think I'd struggle to get the amount of protein I need on a vegan diet. I've tried plant-based protein powder as well, and it's chalky, it's thick, it's just got this weird texture. I just don't really like it. But if you can do it and you enjoy it, that's completely fine. Ultimately, the diet that you enjoy the most and you can stick with is the one that you should do. So,
of course,
if you like veganism, you like carnivore, no, go for it.
Yep.
But,
I mean, I completely agree, and I've still got a grandma who's 90, well, nearly turning 93, and hopefully she makes it to that point and keeps going. But she's actually she just eats a lot of balance. She doesn't cut anything out. She's not a big meat eater, but she'll still eat a lot of fish. So she's not like, and she will have a little bit of chicken and all that sort of stuff, but not a huge red meat sort of top operator. But you know what? I just asked her for advice like a few years ago. I just said, what's the secret to living to 90? Because when she turned 90, and she just said, she didn't say it in English, but she just said a little bit of everything. You know what I mean? Just moderation. And that's the key because we do have to enjoy life as well. And a lot of these diets sort of factor in a lot of elimination, and that's where the sustainability comes into it for me. Like, it's not sustainable, I don't think, to just eat meat completely for the rest of your life, just meat alone or like animal products, because eventually you're going to slip. And, psychologically, you go to a birthday party, right? And of course, you'd prep in advance. You'd make sure you have a calorie deficit that day so you can have that birthday cake at night. You allow for it. So that means you're actually going to enjoy yourself at that birthday party and still have a bit of cake. And it's a good social aspect as well to have that cake. But where these guys, if they're going to be 100% strict, no, you can't have it. And then you sort of, what are you doing to yourself? I mean, I don't know, everyone has their own thoughts. And once again, we're not nutritionists. We can only just go off our own experiences.
Oh, I do agree with that. I think there's a point where you do have to, like, for example, a contest prep, what I did sacrifice a lot of nights out, a lot of birthday cakes and that, and then people will say to me that's not a sustainable approach. And while I agree, a comp prep is not meant to be a sustainable approach.
No, it's not. Absolutely
not. A comp prep is a specific period of time that we're going hard, and then we're getting out of it. So,
but you have an end goal. You have an end goal.
Exactly right. Yeah.
As opposed to a carnivore diet. What are you trying to get out of it?
Yeah.
Really, apart from advocating that it's the best thing since sliced bread, and of course on carnivore diet you can't have bread, advocating how good it is and how good you feel. Well, how about all the other shit you've gotten rid of? Of course, potentially that might be the reason you feel good, or for the vegans at first. Well, if you're going to go plant-based, you're actually sort of throwing out a lot of the rubbish as well. You're eliminating a lot of the crap that might be, I guess, causing you indigestion or, irritable bowel and all that sort of stuff. And then you start incorporating some more foods back in. But then the problem is with these diets, you have to supplement because we need a little bit of everything. Of course, you take your health supplements. And for some instances, depending on what we do, especially the vitamin D, not seeing the sunlight, we might need to supplement in those respects. But for the most part, you could probably get away with maybe not taking a supplement at all, as long as you have good balance. But a lot of people can't say that, unfortunately. That's the one big thing I think with nutrition that the government's got to just work on.
I think it's just very hard to get the amount of vitamins and minerals you need from food. Like we just generally don't. And it comes to this point where it's like, okay, taking one tablet could just be so much. Like it's just a convenience in the end. So yeah, that's my logic there. But no, as far as vegan and that, I don't really have any opinions on it. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But I don't want to bash veganism. I don't want to bash carnivorism. I think you should do whatever it is you want.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Michael, honestly, we have gone over time, right? Now, this is what my proposal is, right? I know you've got to get to bed. You've got to wake up tomorrow sometime before 4 to get into that gym even before the crack of dawn and get that workout in. I want to pick up where we left off next time. We'll do a part 2. We may even do it in person over a breakfast or even go for a workout. I'll try and get as early as I can. I'm not a massive morning person, but I'll make the exception. Yeah, maybe we can do a workout, have a feed, have a little part 2 interview, because I want to talk about you competing, your achievements that you've done and that you've accomplished. And of course, we'll talk about some of your idols in the industry. So there's plenty of meat to this bone, no pun intended in regards to the carnivore thing. Plenty of meat to this bone in regards to so much more we've got to talk about. Thank you for enlightening me to the whole, I guess, telling us and giving us an insight as to what you go through in regards to workouts, diets, nutritions, and of course, the supplements that you take, and just give us a bit of an introduction as to how we met and who you are as a person. So I really appreciate it. All those people that want to, I guess, see Michael in the flesh. Well, I mean, you can't probably see him in person, and don't stalk him, please, but you can check out his Instagram. It's at Mickey_C92, and it's MICKY_C92. Quality Instagram. And yeah, you just suss out just what he's all about in regards to that bodybuilding lifestyle. A couple of model shots there, and I even see you got a fair bit of bronze in a couple of those photos from all that tan. But Michael, thank you very much. We got to do part 2 with all that good stuff. It's still left to come and talk about, but we've just crammed in so much in nearly an hour and a half.
No, that was really, really, really good. I appreciate you having me on. That was really, really fun. That actually went really, really, really fast. It doesn't even feel like we've been going for almost 2 hours. I always enjoy talking about any sort of topics like this. I love it, as you can probably tell, and I can talk for ages and ages. So yes, happy to come on for a part 2. Let me know if you want to do it over breakfast. Yeah, all good.
Just make sure you allow for some extra calories in that breakfast there.
By that time, hopefully my calories have also risen a little bit. So yeah.
Worst case scenario, you just have to walk an extra 3,000-4,000 steps.
Easy.
That's easy, isn't it?
Michael, thank you. Anytime.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Stoners, making sure you're following us at Turnstones Pod, Instagram and Twitter, and also following us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else you want to get it. Thank you and goodbye.